أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين ولعنة الدائمة على أعدائهم أجمعين من الآن إلى قيام يوم الدين. ثم قال علي بن أبي طالب صلوات الله وسلامه عليه: والكفر على 4 دعائم: على التعمق والتنازع والزيغ والشفاق. Before starting this maxim, we recite Dua al-Faraj Qurbatan ilallah. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Allahumma kulli waliyyika al-Hujjat ibn al-Hasan salawatuka alayhi wa ala abaihi في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتيه فيها طويلا. صلوات على محمد وآل محمد. Alhamdulillah, we are continuing with the maxim number 30. But before starting this session number 8, we should understand that according to some books, this is maxim number 31, and according to some other books, this is the continuation of maxim number 30, where Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam was asked about Iman. Now in this maxim, Imam Ali was asked about Kufr, about disbelief. That what is Kufr, ya Ali ibn Abi Talib? And Imam Ali alayhi salam, he says, وَالْكُفْرُ عَلَىٰ 4 دَعَائِمْ, that there are 4 causes of Kufr. There are 4 causes of disbelief. First, التعمق. Second, التنازع. Third, الزيغ. Fourth, الشفاق والشفاق. First is التعمق. Ta'ammuq is exploring and investigating and delving into the superstitious thing. And being curious about mysterious is known as ta'ammuq. Inshallah, we'll be talking about it. That this leads to the kufr. This leads to the disbelief. Second, wa tanazu'. Tanazu' is engaging in the arguments which leads you towards conflict. Is tanazu. In Farsi and also in Urdu, known as jadal. Tanazu is known as jadal. Third is zayg. Zayg is straying away from the truth due to the desires, due to the nafs, which leads to the kufr. And fourth is washifaq, that enmity with the truth due to the stubbornness. This leads to the kufr. Imam Ali alayhi salam, step by step, explains each and everything. That what happens if you are exploring something which is superstitious, exploring something, delving in something, and investigating in something which have no use, which is mysterious or superstitious. Imam Ali alayhi salam, he says, فَمَنْ تَعَمَّقَ لَمْ يُنِبْ إِلَى الْحَقِّ, that whoever explore this superstitious thing, explore and investigate in something which is mysterious with no use, لَمْ يُنِبْ إِلَى الْحَقِّ, so he will never incline towards haqq. And my dear brothers, this happens in our society. Inshallah, we'll be talking about it, that what Ali ibn Abi Talib exactly means here. There are thousands of superstitious things in our society. For example, in India, Brother Mustafa knows better that if a black cat passes away from, in front of you, so you don't want to pass that route, you don't want to go to that path or on that road. Why? Because there is a belief, there is a superstitious that black cat is not good for, it's not good, or it have a bad consequences, or thousands of things. So if you explore these things, if you investigate this thing, if you go deep into the superstitious, so according to Ali ibn Abi Talib, lam yunib ila al-haq. So you will never incline towards haq, because haq doesn't talk about it. Talk about something which haq is talking about. Now there's a very beautiful thing that we should understand. What Ali ibn Abi Talib is talking about? He's talking about the causes of kufr. Okay, so what comes opposite to the kufr is iman. How a person can become a mu'min in the first stage, when he believes tawheed, when he accepts tawheed. Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salatu wasalam is talking exactly about that. Don't talk about the essence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Please do understand it. There is the hadith from Imam Baqir alayhi salam, where Imam says, لا تتفكروا في ذات الله. Don't talk, don't go deep, don't argue about essence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yeah, talk about the qudrat of Allah, talk about the attributes, talk about the creations of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But don't talk about Zatullah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Limada? Why? Chira? Because this leads you to the kufr. Zatullah subhanahu wa ta'ala is unlimited, and your logic, your thinking, your imagination, your brain is limited. So how is it possible that a limited thing can carry unlimited? So for the exact reason it is said, لا تتفكروا في ذات الله. Don't talk about Zatullah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Talk about His actions. Talk about His attributes. Talk about His creations. If you do that, if you talk about the attributes, so that's good for you. But if you talk about the Zat, so according to Ali ibn Abi Talib, this leads you to the kufr. Okay? Second thing is tanazu'. Ya Ali ibn Abi Talib, what happens if a person do tanazu'? If a person is engaged in the disputes and the arguments which inclines you towards conflict, towards batil, what happens? Imam Ali alayhi salam, he says, وَمَنْ كَثُرَ نِزَاعُهُ بِالْجَهْلِ. So whoever keeps disputing in every argument on account of jahl, on account of ignorance, what happens? دَامَ عَمَاهُ عَنِ الْحَقِّ, will always remain blind to truth. This is also a very important thing. Ask questions, do argument, but not on the basis of the ignorance. If you don't know something, for example, I know something, I don't know something. The thing which I don't know, I come to dear brother Mustafa, I ask him, he explains me, that's all. But you keep on arguing something, and you are an ignorant person, and still you're arguing on your claims, okay, on your arguments. So this will make you blind to truth. You will never go to the truth. Well, you know why? Because do remember it, this is a very best thing. The first time I kept my feet on the House Ilmiya Qum, because I started from Qum. You know what my ustad said me? My teacher said me that, my dear son, do understand, when you sit in the class and when you're listening your ustad, your teacher, just imagine that you know nothing and sit and listen us. And same advice I got in Najaf al-Ashraf from my asatid, that when you come to the class, when you sit down in front of your ustad and teacher, think, imagine that you know nothing, and then listen. What happens? When you listen to him, when you listen to him, this will be like you are gaining knowledge. But if you are sitting in the class Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Sorry. But if you're sitting in the class and you imagine that you know everything, so whatever your ustad says, you won't try to accept it, because you are imagining that you know everything, and then you start arguing. And when you start arguing, Imam alayhi salam says, "Dama amahu anil haqq." You will remain blind to the truth. Inshallah, we will be talking about this. But the third thing was zayg. What is zayg? Straying away from truth due to desires. Imam Ali alayhi salam says, وَمَنْ زَاغَ سَاءَتْ عِنْدَهُ الْحَسَنَةِ وَحَسُنَتْ عِنْدَهُ السَّئِيَّةِ وَسَكَرَ سَكْرَ الضَّلَالَةِ. Imam Ali alayhi salam says, whoever deviates from truth because of ignorance, because of not knowing anything, because of not having knowledge, you deviate from the truth, will always take good for evil and evil for good, وَسَكَرَ سَكَرَ الضَّلَالَةِ, and will always remain intoxicated with misguidance. This is what Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam says, that when you are deceived or deviated from truth, so good, you will be thinking that this is good, but this is good in apparent way, but you will be thinking, no, this is not good for me, this is evil for me. And something is evil for you, is not good for you, is bad for you, but you will be imagining that, yeah, this is good for me. What happened at last? Imam says, this person will remain intoxicated with misguidance. In short, he will never incline towards haqq. He will go towards kufr. There's thousands of things we can talk here. We see in our society, something is not halal, it's haram in our society. But because our ancestors, a father, mother, or someone in family, a grandfather, says on his ignorance, on his jihala, that it's halal, but in Islam it's haram, what happens? You will start arguing that no, Sheikh, it's halal, and you will give the reasonings which are not correct. And this is happening in our society. The smiles of my brothers shows that, isn't it? And you know what will be the end of the story. You bring the hadith of Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam, and you say, look brother, this is the hadith of Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam. Imam Sadiq says this is haram, but because his father or grandfather or his ancestor says it is halal, so he even doesn't hesitate to reject Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam, and he will say, no, what my father said is correct. What my grandfather says, what my family says is correct. Why? Because you're deviated from the haqq. You don't want to listen ma'asum. You don't want to listen to ulama. You want to listen someone who doesn't know anything about the rulings and jurisprudence of Islam, who doesn't know about Arabic syntax, who doesn't know about logic, who doesn't know about mantiq, who doesn't know about fiqh, who doesn't know about usul, who doesn't know about nahv, who doesn't know about sarf. He doesn't know. These are the subjects what we study in Hawza Ilmiya. He knows nothing, but he's excited to give the hukum in the Islam. What happens? Fatiha ma salawat happens. Fourth thing, what the Imam says was shifaq. What is shifaq? Enmity. Enmity is dushmani with the truth due to stubbornness. Stubbornness, ziddi. A person, he don't want to accept truth. Why? Because he's stubborn. In Urdu, he says, ziddi hai, nahi qabul karna. You know, there is a very good saying in Urdu. Once my father said it, that जो सोया हुआ हो उसको जगाना आसान है, मगर जो सोने की नाटक कर रहा हो उसको लाख दुनिया जगाने की कोशिश करे वो नहीं जगेगा. Because he's stubborn, he don't want to get up. Look, Ali ibn Abi Talib is talking to us in today's era. He's talking to us. He's saying that, what shifaq? What happens if you're having this? What happens if you have this quality? Imam Ali alayhi salam says, وَمَنْ شَاقَ وَعُرَتْ عَلَيْهِ طُرْقَ وَأَعْضَلَ عَلَيْهِ أَمْرُهُ وَضَاقَ عَلَيْهِ مَخْرَجُهُ. Imam Ali alayhi salam says, whoever makes a breach with Allah and his messenger, whoever opposes Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and his messenger, his path becomes difficult. And then his affair becomes complicated. And what happens? And his way to salvation will be uncertain. He don't know where to go. Why? Because he's stubborn on truth. He's stubborn on false thing. He doesn't want to accept truth. This happened in the history of Islam. We don't want to accept the wilayah of Ali ibn Abi Talib. Some people said in Medina. Why? Because we are stubborn. Because we want the hukuma, we want the khilafah, we want the siyasa. What happened? The affairs become complicated. Come to today's world, not one, not two, thousands of ahkam al-Islamiyya are still in their sect, are mubham, in dilemma, in confusion. Let me give you a small example. There is the hukum about the muta in Shia. We accept it. I don't care if our community accepts it or not. I don't care. What I care is what Ali ibn Abi Talib says to me, what Quran says to me, what Ahlul Bayt alayhimu salam says to me, what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says to me. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah An-Nisa is giving you the acceptance of the muta. At the time of Rasulullah, muta was done. At the time of the Abu Bakr, muta was done. But when Umar comes and do the khilafah, what he says, Bukhari mentions, كانتا متعتان في زمن الرسول وأنا أحرمهما. This is the wordings of Bukhari. Go and Google it. That there were two types of muta. I don't want to go deep in this, but he said there were two types of muta at the time of Rasul. He says that. وَأَنَا أُحَرِّمُهُمَا, and I am the one who is converting this halal thing to haram. Why, my dear brother, why are you doing this? Why do you need to do all these things? But he have done this. Why? Because some of the personalities at the time of the caliph, they were stubborn. They used to change the ahkam according to their desire. And what happens? This will lead the end of the story. The end of this story, whether you do shiqaq, whether you do tanazu', whether you do ta'ammuq, whether you do zayg, these four things, what is the end of this story? It's kufr, it's disbelief. What will be happening at last? That, brother, I don't want to accept the Islam. And this happens, my dear Mustafa, my dear Abbas. You see that? This is happening. You listen to your ancestor. You do jadal. You do tanazu'. And you say specific thing is halal. Sheikh says it's haram. The third party, who is no sheikh, who don't follow your ancestor, he see there are two different criteria, two different laws. What will he do? Because of your dispute, because of your dalala, gumrahi, what happens? The person says, Bhai, mere ko Islam nahi. This happens. Bhai, Islam nahi. Yeah, I don't want to, follow this religion who have no specific law. This happens. And this is happening. Why? Because people are going according to their ahkam. My dear brother, I have the nasiha to everyone who are listening me, who are here. If you are doing something haram, accept it is haram. I don't care if you do it or not. But at least don't justify it that it is halal. For example, a person, goes somewhere and, he steals something and same thing he distributes to 10 different person. Don't worry, the voice will be coming. Okay? A person steal this, a glass of water from me, and comes to you and give to you that have this, have this, have this. So what distributing the water will be justifying my steal? No. In Urdu we say, what we say? Well, there is a good saying, I don't remember it perfectly. If you remember it, Mustafa say me, that 100 चूहे मार के बिल्ली चली हज को. 100 चूहे खा के बिल्ली चली हज को. That's happening. So you can't justify the hajj of that billi with this. So my dear brother, my dear sister, whoever is listening to me, please come to the haqq. This is the nasiha to me myself. Don't do the jadal. Don't explore in something which have no use, which is mysterious, which is superstitious. Don't do enmity with the truth. Accept the truth. Why? Because al-haqq ma'ali wa aliyu ma'al-haqq. Wal-haqq yadur. Haqq is with Ali, Ali is with haqq. No, not only this. And haqq, he go around to Ali ibn Abi Talib, do tawaf to Ali ibn Abi Talib. Ali ibn Abi Talib is not one who is doing tawaf of haqq. Haqq is someone that doing the tawaf of Ali ibn Abi Talib. We being Shia, you have to follow haqq. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us the tawfiq to have iman in our wujud. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept our efforts and accept the effort of everyone who are here. وآخر دعواني الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين. اللهم عجل لوليك الفرج وجعلنا من الأعوانه وأنصاره ولا تجعلنا من أعدائه. صلوات على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل